Welcome back, cool cats of the interwebs. It is your girl Haley back at it again with another episode of the pre-review crew. Now it's December, and you guys know what that means. It is the end of the year. It's the first full, in January it will be the first full year of the pre-review crew. So if you stuck with us from the beginning, thank you so much for listening to our stupid ramblings every month. Now, you guys already know who I have with me, but if you don't, let me introduce them. We have Mike.
Up.
And we have Brennan.
Hello.
So, like I said, it is the end of the year. It's December 2021, and we are here to wrap everything up in a great little bow for you of what happened this year within the gaming industry. Now, you guys already know this year a little bit of a letdown. Not a lot of games that were super, at least in my opinion, super interesting came out. We had a lot of non-exclusive games, which I guess is really cool for a lot of people, but Sony, you're dropping the ball here for me. What are you doing? Get your life together. Anyway, so this is our Game Awards episode. We are going to talk about all of the games that not all of them, but some of the games that we talked about throughout the year, give awards to them that we think deserve them, and then give our predictions for how we think 2022 is going to go, and you can catch that at the end of the episode. So, first of all, I guess we have to talk about Halo Infinite, just because we didn't get to really review that last month, because it just recently came out on December 6th. So, if you don't already know, Halo Infinite, it's on Xbox and PC, correct?
Yeah, you can play it on PC through Game Pass.
There we go. You play it on PC. You heard it here first. Actually, no, you didn't. But its top critic average is 86, with 94% of critics recommending, and Mike gave this the biggest disappointment award. Let's hear why.
All right, so my biggest disappointment is I give me the biggest disappointment not because of the gameplay. The gameplay is actually really, really good. I was playing the multiplayer mode, which released for free a couple of weeks before the campaign dropped. And it was fun. And I was having a good time. And then they opened up the the storefront for the game, because the multiplayer is free to play. And just the way they're handling the storefront, I think just completely ruined Halo Infinite for me. Because it's ridiculous. The season pass is trash. It's ridiculous prices for things like skins or little tiny things that you could put on your armor. And it just, for me, just made me not want to play the game, because I did not want to support that sort of thing. Because we're talking like $20 and you're getting a skin and maybe one or two little accessories to put on your Spartan armor. And I just thought that was greedy and complete bullshit. So I was just so disappointed when they started doing that after they released the multiplayer.
That's I feel like that's what I've heard a lot about, mainly about the multiplayer. Like, most people's complaints is just that, the moment-to-moment gameplay is fun, it feels like old Halo, but the monetization around it, along with the general lack of game modes and supported playlists, and there's no Forge, custom games are kind of meh at the moment. It seems that multiplayer on paper it's just okay, like on average, because again, the moment-to-moment gameplay is good, but everything else is kind of holding it back, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, especially considering this, looking at our list of games, this was probably the most anticipated game of the year. That and Resident Evil Village, which we'll probably get to later.
Yeah.
I think those two were like the most anticipated games of the year. And Halo had the opportunity to take it and just be completely amazing and making everybody happy. And then they dropped the ball on it.
Yeah, and I feel like even with the campaign side of things, which I haven't tried yet, which I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass for, I recently repurchased PC Game Pass for $1 for 3 months, which is baller, by the way. Can I just throw a shout out to Microsoft for a second? It's like for your first month or whatever, I guess the promo at this point is first 3 months for $1. I've done that like 4 times now already. Like over the course of like a year or two, I've never paid more than $1 for a Game Pass because I just let it run out, and then a couple months later, they still think it's my first month for some reason. So whatever, it's on them. Um,
Brennan is saying all of this stuff hypothetically. It's not actually happening.
oh,
Yeah,
it's
Shh.
but
We
like
don't want them to cancel your subscription.
I know.
whatever. It's whatever. I got it for another 3 months, and then again, like I said, I'm not gonna. It's one of those things where like I do Game Pass because theoretically it's cheaper to play a game for complete a game for again $1, $15 for the month, and then chances are I'm just gonna throw it in the back of my closet and never touch it ever again. So I'd rather pay $15 for that than a full 60. But regardless, it's still a prime deal for $1 for Game Pass. So just in general, like there's a lot of good stuff on there. But going back to the point, Halo's campaign, again, I hear that the moment-to-moment gameplay is fun. The open world is sort of superfluous in that it's very large and there's not a ton to do. Like there are things to do, but it's not the best. Just I guess in terms of like the open world market being sort of saturated, right? Like if Halo Infinite came out 5, 6 years ago, it would probably have a better reception than it would now. That's only because open world games are kind of overdone. I've also heard that the story is kind of like hit or miss for some people, um, and the fact that like and I keep reading places that it doesn't seem finished. It A lot of people are saying it feels like there's still more that they're going to add, and they can sort of tell that there's been a lot of cut content. So I think a lot of people are crossing their fingers for some sort of story update. But I mean, going back to the multiplayer, I read that 343 isn't adding. First off, they're not adding Forge and co-op till like March/April, and again, they
Yeah,
still right, yeah, right. It's like March or April. Um,
yeah.
and
It's quite a ways from now. Yeah.
which kind of takes the wind right out of their sails. If I'm going to be completely honest, I know a lot of people were disappointed with the lack of co-op because I feel like that's how a lot of people experienced Halo, especially earlier on in life. Like you just go over to your friend's house and they'd be like, "Oh, hey, let's boot up some Halo and play co-op." Like that was how I initially played co-op when I was younger, or Halo when I was younger. So I imagine that the lack of that is very poignant to some. But then even
It is.
go like, oh, sorry, no,
I
you're
was gonna
good.
say it is because that's how I used to play Halo. My brother would boot it up. We'd go to a friend's house, we'd boot it up, and we just play co-op. Um, I know the whole reason I know the story of Halo is because we would just play co-op all the time. And
Yeah,
I never played it by myself and learned the story by myself. I know what happens in Halo because I played co-op in every game up until Infinite.
that's that. I mean, that's awesome though. Like, it's just cool that that was even a thing to begin with, and then for it to not be in this one, shake my head, man. Shake my head. I mean, I'm currently shaking my head. I know you can't see it, but uh, and they're not even adding like a dedicated Slayer playlist until God knows when. And it's like that's the easiest thing you can do. I don't want to play Oddball 4 times in a row just to play Slayer. That's the one reason I haven't touched the multiplayer. Once I learned that there wasn't a dedicated Slayer playlist, I was like, no, sorry, I'm not gonna touch that. Because I don't like Oddball. I don't like Oddball that much. So sorry. Sorry, 343. You lost me. Um, I am excited to play the campaign though at some point. I know that it's probably not going to be the best game that I've played this year, but it'll just be fun? Question mark, I guess. Like,
You shoot some
eh?
stuff.
Yeah, like oh you're goddamn Master Chief. Like that's never not fun. I feel like Halo's like pizza, right? Even when it's bad, it's still like kind of good-ish because it's Halo, except for Halo 5. Sorry. I won't touch that with the 10-foot pole.
We try to forget that exists.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one. That's like that's like burnt burnt Pizza Hut pizza with like pineapple on it or something, like
Ugh.
4 days old. It's just never good.
That sounds gross.
It
Yeah,
is
it, it's that bad.
Anyway,
Um,
we're gonna kick it over to something a lot cooler to talk about.
something more
Because
positive. I'm depressed now.
yeah, because damn,
yeah,
I think pizza was just ruined for me. But let's ruin more of your day, JK. We're gonna make it better. We are going to talk about Persona 5 Strikers, and Mike gave this best spin-off.
Yeah, we talked about a few spin-offs. This Pokemon Snap, but for me, Persona 5 Strikers was the best spin-off to me because it did something new while keeping the spirit of the original game. Um, because for those who don't know, it's a what it's a Muso title, which when I first heard they're doing that for Persona, I was confused because I was like no, like I don't think that's gonna work. Bought it anyway because Persona 5 is probably my favorite game of all time, and it felt like a Persona game but just instead of turn based, it's whoop the shit out of a bunch of massive groups of enemies. But you still had like the calendar, you still had you're using your personas, interacting with your crew, and it was just a nice little thing to see that they did to help continue the story of Persona and actually keeping just the spirit of the original while still doing something that you wouldn't expect um, from this franchise just as a whole.
I'm always excited to see Persona get more love. Just especially with the spin-offs. I always feel like the spin-offs are fairly popular for whatever reason. I don't seem to understand it, but the spin-offs do relatively well. And this one, again, especially like the scores that it got, can't really complain. It does look really cool though, and I feel like the only reason I haven't tried it or picked it up is because I still haven't finished Persona 5. So I feel like I would
Mm.
possibly be getting some spoilers because I know that it takes place after 5.
Yeah, you would.
Um, yeah, so yeah, I really have to do that. But again, I just Persona 5 makes me happy. Like I know I haven't finished it, so like I know I can't really say that completely, but my goodness, it's just it's just so good, and everything surrounding it is good.
And it's all spin-offs that you wouldn't expect. Strikers, they have the dancing games, they got the fighting games. Like
Fighting games, yeah,
it's like stuff you wouldn't expect, but they're all really good. And
yeah.
Strikers, I think, has been continuing that, you know.
Which is cool. Like and again, I don't understand how they do it, but every genre they touch, it's like they knock it out of the park. Like I don't get it. From Musos to like you said to dancing, was it like a rhythm game or is it just
Yeah,
dancing? I guess it's both.
yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know.
the dancing rhythm game.
Right. So yeah, I just again no clue how they do it, but they do it well, and mad props to Atlas. Although I don't know if Atlas do Persona 5 Strikers? No,
Um, I don't think
Omega
they were the
Force.
actual, yeah, they weren't the actual developers, but I think they did produce it.
Yeah, yeah, they did. Which I mean again, awesome. Just just awesome. And
Straight
again,
awesome.
oh, totally, totally. And the fact that like Persona 5 Strikers and now Shin Megami Tensei 5 are both on the Switch, I feel like people just have their fingers crossed so hard that the next Persona will also be on the Switch. Possibly. I know that Sony would probably have a hard time giving that up, but if it's possible, it's popsicle. You know what I mean?
Um, I think it is very possible
Si-
for
okay, wait,
Persona
wait,
to.
wait, 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 wait. Let's save that conversation for predictions.
Okay.
Okay.
Because that would work really well
Okay.
for predictions. And I feel like that's going to be a great conversation for when we get to that point. So, wait till the end of the episode to hear Mike's great point about why Sony should potentially not give up the rights for Persona to get on Nintendo. And also hear why they should. Because honestly, no, I'll save what I have to say later. Okay, here we go. Next thing we're going to talk about Monster Hunter Rise. Brennan gave this the best Nintendo game of 2021.
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on this just because I don't know. I it's Monster Hunter, right? Like um
That's all you gotta say.
oh, no, I mean this I have a little bit more. Like it was I didn't really play on my Switch too much this year, but the one game that I played the most was definitely Monster Hunter Rise. I feel like they took what was great about World in some regards, and what was great about classic Monster Hunter in some regards, and they mashed it up together in a very interesting and cool way that felt like it was its own unique thing. And then throw the wire bug, the new traversal mechanic on top, and it's one of those things where I don't know, in Monster Hunter Iceborne, they gave you Monster Hunter World colon Iceborne. Sorry, they gave you an option or an ability to ride on, your little furry creature friends. And in Rise, they were like, okay, we're implementing that as its full feature. Here's a dog that you could ride on whenever, and it's also a companion, which is baller, by the way. I really hope they don't take that away. It's a great addition. And to piggyback off of that point, while that's cool and all, I feel like I didn't use it at all because the wire bug was just that much fun to use to like just traverse around the world. It's one of those things where I feel like it's going to be hard to go back to just walking around. But that's probably going to be the case. And yeah, I don't know. It was more Monster Hunter. I didn't play it as much as I did World, admittedly, because I feel like once I sort of completed everything, there was really no reason for me to farm the end game. I could talk about that for a while, but I just won't. They got me looking very much forward to this upcoming summer with the new expansion. I feel like they always Capcom does a kick-ass job with these Monster Hunters expansions for some reason, so I'm very excited to see where they go next.
Yeah, I didn't get to play it, but I heard a lot of good about it.
Uh,
It's quality. It's quality.
if Brennan says it's quality, then you know it's quality. I think.
It's got the Brennan seal of approval.
He has taste once in a while. It's like hit or miss sometimes, but
Sometimes. Come on.
okay, you heard it here first. It has Brennan's seal of approval, so that means you should definitely go buy it and check it out. I didn't play Monster Hunter Rise just because it's not my thing, but I hope their acceptance speech for this award is great. Next game we are going to talk about biggest hype of 2021, which Mike said that was Halo Infinite, and I would have to disagree. I would say that the biggest hype of 2021 definitely has to go to Resident Evil. We just saw an article today that said that Resident Evil Village was the most completed game of 2021. I mean, I feel like it has to do with the time period, not time period, but like the month that it came out in compared to Halo. I think if Halo would have came out earlier, there probably would have been bigger hype for it, but that came out literally 10 days ago. Resident Evil came out on May 7th. That gave a lot more people the time to get it and to play it. And I mean, the scores for both games aren't too far off, but I feel like this is the game that people wanted for 2021, and that's why it has done so well.
I agree with you. The hype for Resident Evil Village was like really, really big. I said Halo just because it's Halo. Everybody looks forward to Halo. But Resident Evil Village throughout 2020, as they kept updating us, it was getting a lot of hype. It was getting a lot of excitement. Because, Resident Evil with 7, got a rebirth and 7 was really good. So when Village was coming out, it was like holy shit, this game looks even better than 7, which would help revive the franchise. So I agree that it was certainly a lot of hype, and it certainly lived up to that hype. I almost made that my game of the year. We'll talk about that later. But it was an amazing game that lived up to the hype, and it was everywhere, especially all you pervs with Lady Domitrice. So yeah, waifu for the win.
Brennan, do you have anything to say about it? Whoop.
Anyway, but yeah,
Oh, Okay, yeah. Brennan has absolutely nothing to say about Resident Evil, apparently. I guess I'll talk for Brennan. Brennan probably hated this game and thought it was absolute dog poop, but he probably plays it in the dark with mods on.
Like the one where, oh god, someone made a mod and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It replaced the model for the knife, and they would just go around and just like smack Lady Dimitrescu like straight in the butt. And I forget what it was, but my god, it
Oh,
was the funniest thing.
what was it? It was like a
Is it like a fly swatter? Why am I thinking it's like a
yeah.
Yes,
fly
yes,
swatter?
it was.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
high squatter and you're able to smack her on her ass, yeah.
funniest thing ever. No,
Her
but
big brilliant ass.
yeah, I really don't have much to say about Resident Evil Village. Only because I'm just not a big Resident Evil fan. But I know that
Fair.
people were very hyped for it, just in general. So I'm glad that it lived up to most, if not all, of the hype.
Well, see, told you. I spoke for Brennan and I spoke correctly. Call me the Brennan Whisperer. Yeah, it was just big. I remember a lot of people being super excited for it. They teased it very limitedly, if that's an actual word. They didn't really give a lot about the game, and everything that they teased was literally within like the first section of the game. So you didn't know how the game was going to go, what was going on. I feel like a lot of people just assumed like it was Lady Dimitrescu and you were only within her section for like the whole game. And then it
Hmm.
turns out to be a lot bigger than that. And I feel like a lot of people were surprised about that. So yeah, that's why I think it gets definitely gets the biggest hype of 2021, especially with the way that they ended it. Now Ethan's story's over, you're going into his daughter, and I think however they do that, that's definitely going to be very interesting because that ending was so open-ended. You don't know how they're going to go with it. So, I guess we'll just have to see. Um the next game on our list is 12 Minutes. I gave this game I couldn't really think of a word, but I called it the best new style just because it has that top down view. I thought this game was definitely cool and I guess innovative in a way. At least I believe I said this when we talked about it. I don't remember any game before this doing this sort of top down style. In the way that 12 Minutes has done it. So I thought that was just really cool, especially for 2021, where you didn't really have a lot of new games coming out. There's a lot of indie titles, but when it came to large mainstream games, you didn't have a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I was. I mean, I'm trying to remember. I just remember us initially talking about how stacked the cast seemed, and we were basically saying like the voice acting has to be on point because they hired some big budget actors, and also the story has to be pretty decent. Um, but the scores were just kind of meh. So I guess people either, really liked it or it just wasn't for them. But generally speaking, I would agree that the art style was definitely unique. And I feel like that, along with the cast, was probably like the two biggest selling points, probably for most people.
I think it was a great experiment in doing something that hasn't been done before. Um, because I've seen top-down games over the years, but what 12 Minutes brought to that sort of I don't want to say genre, that sort of aspect was so far different than anything I've ever seen before. Uh, it mixed so much crazy stuff. It mixed that top down with the whole repeating cycles. Like we were saying, it had such a stacked voice cast. I feel that even though the scores were meh, it was still a very experimental game, and I do give it credit for that.
Yeah, I definitely want to pick it up, being that the holiday season is coming around, because I haven't played it yet. But it's definitely a game that I want to play, and I would like to see more of within this top down style. I don't know, it's different. I like different. Let's do something different once in a while. Why don't we mix it up? I I've played enough first person and, third person games that top down once in a while isn't a bad thing.
Mhm.
So, next game we're going to talk about best indie game of 2021. Had a lot of those this year because larger studios just they didn't have the time. COVID was still going on, so everyone was still adapting, but the indie scene was definitely blowing up this year. So, for a pick of mine, I put Lost in Random as the best indie title for 2021. I thought the art style was really neat. It was probably my favorite of all the games that came out this year. The game mechanic with rolling your dice was definitely cool, and it was just super neat. Like, I really, really want a sequel to this game.
Yeah, especially the dice mechanic. That was really unique. And once again, got to give credit to the developer for, trying something new. I think that's kind of what's going on with the indie scene is they're willing to try newer things where, bigger studios just if they're doing a sequel or something, they're going to stick to what made money before. For indie, it's like, fuck it, we got nothing to lose. Let's just do shit that's just we haven't seen before. And Lost in Random was one of those games that did that.
Pretty cool, just in general. Um, yeah, dice mechanic was cool. The deck building part was interesting. Yeah, I, I
Okay,
remember us talking about it a bit.
the Brennan translators coming in. Basically, all of what Brennan just said means he doesn't remember this game at all.
Oh, I do. It's just I don't know. Like I thought it was just okay. You know, it was one of those things where, especially looking back on it now, I'm like, eh. And I do respect indie developers almost always, just because doing things on your own is incredibly difficult and very risky. So yeah, not and then add on top of that, doing something completely different from the norm is even riskier. So good on them. You know, maybe they'll make a sequel, possibly, or just do something completely different. And I don't want to say maybe it'll be better because I don't necessarily think that Lost in Random was not good, but I don't know. It personally didn't stick out to me too much, obviously, because I'm just rambling at this point.
I appreciate your ramble. I definitely have to agree with Mike. Indie studios when they're coming out with their ideas, I feel like have a larger area to try something new because they basically have everything and nothing to lose at the same time. No one's really expecting anything from them, but at the same exact time, if their game tanks, well, that could very possibly be the very last game that they ever put out. So I like that they took a chance and it seems like it paid off. I mean, they are looking at a 78 for the top critic average and a 70% of critics recommended the game. So it's not terrible, but at the same exact time, it's just kind of like average. So I hope that whatever feedback they were given, they take it, and if they do a sequel, they definitely approve upon that because I definitely think that the game has a lot of potential, and this could be something new that other games can definitely improve upon or build upon in a different type of style. So we are getting very, 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 very close to the end of our Game Award show. So I think it's a great time to take a commercial break and and we're gonna talk. We're just gonna talk for a second. We're gonna talk about I don't know what we're gonna talk about. I just decided to throw this in at the last second. Please cut this out. Uh
No, I'm keeping it in.
What should our commercial segment be about? Cut out me rambling about what our commercial segment should be about.
Oh, some product placement of some type.
Now we're keeping this all in.
No, please don't keep this all in. It's really bad. Um,
Everybody should drink
As
Nesquik. Nesquik
yeah, I
is
was gonna say,
delicious.
this video is gonna get a copyright strike. Oh my god.
you ever play games? You ever sit in your chair for 12 hours straight and your eyes are literally crusting over with yesterday's like garbage still stuck in your eyes because you're too lazy to fucking like scratch them out.
This sounds like
Well,
a personal
you
problem
need
that Brennan has.
no, definitely not. But if you feel like that describes you, you need gamer juice,
My God.
and we're here to promote gamer
Okay.
juice.
Okay.
This episode is
Oh my
sponsored by Gamer Juice, aka Nesquik, as Mike said. It's
this
we have a
video is not
lifetime
sponsored.
guarantee of
No, we don't. No, we
yeah,
don't.
we have a
No,
lifetime no
we do
game
not.
Gamer Juice has a lifetime
No.
guarantee of pure five
Oh
hour
my
energy.
God. Okay, anyway, the commercial
Comes in
break is
strawberry and
now
chocolate.
it's now over. Thank you to our not sponsors because this video is not sponsored by anybody if we even tried. So now that you've heard that hot mess, let's kick it back over to the next game on our list. Brennan has labeled Diablo 2 Resurrected as the best remake for 2021, and we honestly don't understand why.
Well,
Because it was the best remake of 2021.
Duh, that's where
yeah,
you give
like
your reason.
I don't know, man. I just want to say Blizzard sucks. Just right off the bat, I hate that I had to give them money. Right? Like I hate that they that they took something that I loved and made it look really pretty and sold it back to millions of people. Well, behind the scenes, they were just doing the worst shit possible. Okay, and probably not everyone working. I don't want to make it sound like everyone at Blizzard sucks, but most people, especially in leadership positions, suck. So, quick disclaimer. But yeah, I mean, Diablo 2 was fun, man. Like, I had fun playing it, but it was one of those things where I sort of played it. I did one run through, and oh man, I maybe two, and then I haven't touched it since. So that's probably saying something.
I mean, is there a specific reason why you haven't picked it up again?
Necessarily. It's just one of those things where Diablo is very much one of those games where in the time that it was made, the game was relatively short. You were encouraged to play it a lot, like over and over and over. You know, you can't get to nightmare difficulty until you beat it on normal. You can't get to hell until you beat it on nightmare. You know, these are the varying difficulty settings that they have. And so it just felt like it was a lot of homework at the end of the day. To make a character that was worth bringing into the later difficulty settings, you had to do a lot of homework. And while there was respecs that you could do in the beginning of every difficulty setting, it was just a lot of. I spent more time planning and looking up builds and looking up how things worked than actually playing the game. And I feel like when I get to that point, I'm like, maybe I should just come back to it later. It's not something that I'll never play ever again. Like I haven't completely written it off. It's just that other things have grabbed my attention more in the meantime. Um, especially like other games that we'll talk about, you know, in the next few minutes, I suppose. But yeah, I feel like best remake is probably not saying much. Especially since last year was big on remakes and remasters and all that, and this year I feel like we tried to steer away from that because we only have two on this list, and I feel like we mainly did that just because, generally speaking, there's been a lot of them, and I feel like people don't really want to talk about stuff that they've already played in the past, especially if it's like a recent remaster. I feel like Diablo 2 is somewhat special because the game is quite literally 20 years old, right? Like it's almost old enough to drink alcohol. So compared to I don't know. I'm trying to think of a game that got a remaster where it was somewhat recent and you're like, why? What you really didn't need to do that, but whatever. I, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about Diablo a little bit, but then again, at the same time, like I really don't want to give Blizzard any more attention or credit than they deserve because I really dislike everything about them. And I know I'm not the only one. I know that's not a novel take. And I know it's not just Diablo fans. Like I imagine that a lot of World of Warcraft people that play World of Warcraft are somewhat upset because you see people flocking to Final Fantasy 14 like you've never seen, and I don't know, I feel like World of Warcraft's slowly dying off. And it's not even because Final Fantasy 14's a WoW killer, it's just because World of Warcraft is just killing itself slowly. It's completely different from Diablo 2 Resurrected, but again, Blizzard sucks. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm done.
Mike, do you have anything to add?
I think that's just the fucked up part is Diablo 2 we could have said was awesome and good. But like Brennan said, just what Blizzard what's happened with Blizzard in the past few months, I think kind of ruins that for a lot of people.
I would definitely have to agree. As we all know, this is the Blizzard is shit club. So please join us as we basically say Blizzard is shit 500 different ways. And it's just I don't want to. It's not even sad. It's not even sad. Actually, yes, it is sad. It's sad for the fact that there have been so many people who put their heart and soul into the games that Blizzard has made, and then for them to just treat their employees like shit and try to rug sweep everything. And they are continuing to do so. When they called for the president or whatever to give up his seat, and he's just like, no, I think I'm gonna stay. It's like, excuse you, you are part of the issue. Leave.
Yeah, Bobby Kotick should be put on a ceremonial pyre. Like okay, that sounds kind of harsh.
No,
I
No,
hope he just
no,
no,
leaves the
just
company.
just let him go. We'll
Yeah,
stick him on
fair.
one. As soon
Yeah.
as he leaves the company, he's free for us to do whatever we want with. So, hello, welcome, burn in flames. Not literally, because none of us need to get arrested. But
But super quick, I just want to make it very clear that I feel like it's not this isn't like a bandwagon thing, right? Because like it's really easy to shit on the company or game or person, shit on, this current season or whatever. And I feel like it's not virtue signaling. Like it's generally just after seeing it so often with so many different companies over the years, and to see a company that a lot of people have respected for a really long time fall into that is like especially damning. Like Riot, when they had their whole shit, I was upset, right? Because played a lot of League of Legends, but I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like watching a parent screw up in a way, and you're like, man, that sucks. Like I thought you were invincible, and you're
I thought you were
not.
better than everybody else because you sat there and you preached that you were better than everybody else. Yet at the
Yeah,
end of the day, you're literally like everybody else.
worse.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I guess the bar is just set really, really low at this point. So yeah, again, not to be bandwagoning or virtue signaling or anything. It's generally just upsetting, and I feel like a lot of people feel that way. Like, again, it's really easy to just shit on the flavor of the month, right? But man, it's just not fun. Like I was excited for this game and everything that came out surrounding it. I felt bad for enjoying the game, right? Like that shouldn't happen. Just shouldn't happen. But onwards to bigger and better things that
Yeah,
aren't
I was gonna
Blizzard.
say onwards and upwards to bigger and better things that aren't Blizzard. So after discussing that dumpster fire, we're gonna talk about Alan Wake Remastered. I gave this the best remaster to lead to a sequel because your girl called it. I called it. You heard it here first. I said that they put out this game and then watch them use the hype of the remaster. They're going to drop a sequel. What did they do? At the Game Awards, they dropped a trailer announcing Alan Wake 2. Thank you. No need to.
I'm supposed to clap.
Yes, you are supposed to clap. Please insert clapping noise here.
I don't know how to do that. So
Okay, well, figure it out, please. But yes,
okay.
uh, it sort of made sense. Mike was talking earlier about how there have been over the years rumors of Alan Wake 2 and then they shoot him down. And then it's like, okay, all of a sudden you announce Alan Wake Remaster. That's a little suspicious. Why bring it back after all these years? Oh, wait, boom, sequel.
And I remember you saying that you thought this is why they were doing remastered. Um,
It made sense. It made
yeah,
sense. I didn't
yeah.
expect it. I will say I didn't expect the sequel so soon. I remember saying that I thought that they were putting this out to gauge how well everyone wanted the a sequel and how well this did to see if a sequel is warranted. I didn't think that they would drop it and then, 2 months later at the Game Awards they drop a trailer for Alan Wake 2. I thought it would be maybe another year or two before the game comes out. Psh, they proved me wrong.
Oh, you guys like the remaster? Well, we weren't going to announce this for another 6 months, but screw it. We're just going to give it to you now.
Merry Christmas.
Exactly.
But it's great. They
Happy
did say
holidays, motherfuckers.
they did say at the Game Awards that Alan Wake 2 will be a lot more survival horror based. So definitely expect it to be different from the first one. Being that it's on next gen, I'm definitely expecting it to look glorious. And I'm very curious to see what the new combat's like, how it's going to play out, what it's going to be about. Because remember, and it sort of makes sense that they're putting out an Alan Wake 2 because Alan Wake and Control take place within the same universe. So I'm very curious to hear about all the lore and all the crossover that happens between the two.
And they put out the Ultimate Edition of Control not too long ago too.
Yeah, they seem to be killing it lately. It's kind of cool. I guess the only thing I wonder is when they started development on Alan Wake 2. I mean, I know we mentioned that there were rumors for a while, but I am just very curious to see when development actually started. But yeah, I mean, it's always cool to have. It's always I go back and forth on remasters, but in this case specifically, I feel like it's pretty cool that not only did people still really like enjoy the first Alan Wake, but people are just as, if not more so, excited for the sequel, and it's pretty cool. Because honestly, like I don't really know how popular Alan Wake is. Like I don't know too many people that are a fan, but over the past couple of weeks, and even with the announcement of Alan Wake 2, there are a lot more people that are into it than I thought. Right? Like I always thought that Alan Wake was sort of a niche sort of franchise-ish. Maybe Control retroactively helped out with that. You know, people are like, wow, I actually really like this developer. Oh, let me check out their other games. And wow, Alan Wake Remastered, cool. You know, maybe it's one of those things. Who knows? But it's just nice to see in general. It's nice to see fans getting what they want. I feel like that's should be the name of the game, really.
Well, I mean, on their website, they did say that this is a remaster, and all they did was basically bump up the graphics. And I like that because, and I said this when we talked about it in the regular pre-review crew episode. This gives the people who knew nothing about Alan Wake their entry into the series. And yes, 2 is going to be different and we don't know what to expect, but as long as you're familiar with Alan Wake, like you get that background into the game. So I like that they didn't change anything and they kept it the same for people who have already played it and for the new people. So it's not like anybody's missing anything.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was happy they did the remaster. I played Alan Wake back in the day on Xbox when that first came out, and I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. Um, and so, when people were talking about a sequel, I was always like, okay, I can see that. I played Control, and I was like, I really want to see where they go with this universe. So when they announced Alan Wake 2, I was like a giddy little schoolgirl, I was excited. Um, and then when we were talking about it, I was like, son of a bitch, Haley was right. They're gonna do a part two.
Sorry, I got distracted. For once, Haley's right. Wow.
You
Wow.
say that while you're distracted, you're just soaking it in, just
Yeah, I'm
kind
just
of.
sitting here going, "Oh my god, guys. I was right about something for once." Um, but I think everybody should play Alan Wake. It's a really good game, and I'm happy that they're bringing it back because you don't really see horror games like that anymore. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to go with when they do the survival horror for Alan Wake 2. I'm hoping that they still keep it somewhat true to the original, but also refresh it for the modern genre, the modern audience, modern consoles, of course. So
We're not getting Silent Hill, so this will be the next best thing.
I mean, we found a replacement.
Yeah, pretty much. Fucking Konami. Damn Konami.
That's an episode in itself. But as long as Hideo Kojima is still making games, I got no complaints.
Amen to that.
Yeah,
He'll come out with something.
he will. I think he is working on something right now. It's just he hasn't really talked about it.
But as we delve into the minds of I'll save that. I'll save that. I'm gonna shelf that for our next commercial break, which is actually happening right now. This next commercial break, before we jump into our Game of the Year picks, is brought to you by a question that just popped into Haley's head, and we are going to lightning round answers to it. Wouldn't a game made by Hideo Kojima, but with the art style of Junji Ito, be absolutely badass?
Um, I think that's what Hideo Kojima's doing right now is a game with Junji Ito. I don't know if that
No way.
no, because Silent Hills was with Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
And
Which he did stick in Death Stranding. So him and him and buddies.
Yeah, they did do Death Stranding together. I don't know if it was a rumor or if it was confirmed, but I did hear that Junji Ito is doing the artwork for the next Hideo Kojima game, which has me excited because Junji Ito freaks the shit out of me, and Hideo Kojima knows how to play with the minds of his audience. So I really do think, that's a match made in heaven right there. Is two people who can just really screw with your mind coming together to screw with our minds is awesome.
Hideo Kojima actually wrote the foreword for the French version of the of Censor for Ito's manga.
Okay.
I'm okay, so like just based off of the fact that they're both very talented and just completely messing with the viewer's head, I'm gonna say no because I feel like it's too much going on. Like I I barely know what's going on in Metal Gear Solid half the time, right? Like, and then you throw in Judy G. Oh god, I always mess up his name. You throw in Ito's art style, and I'm gonna A, not know what I'm listening to, and B, be freaked the hell out as to what I'm looking at. So that might be too much for this little Brennan. Like, I don't know if I can do that.
Baby Brennan also doesn't like horror games.
Yeah, no, again, I didn't want to come out and straight up say that, but yeah, no, not a fan.
Yeah.
Junji Ito is on my never touch list. And again, it's not because he's not talented. If anything, he's probably too talented at what he does for me. So yeah, that's a reverse Brennan stamp of approval.
You heard it here first. That's a reverse Brennan stamp of approval. If you want a game that has a little bit of like a pixelated arcadey Junji Ito art style, go check out World of Horror. I've talked about it before. It's a really cool game.
It is.
Definitely not like made by Hideo Kojima vibes, but it has that art style of Ito. So if you wanted to get that, go get it. But I honestly think that would be a very next level game if those two collabed, and I think it would be absolutely out of this world to see Ito's art style in 3D in color in a video game. What they would do and what the story would be about, that would be I don't know. I honestly don't know, but I think it would give me nightmares for the rest of my life. So, heard it here first. I predict this game will come out in the future. I give it 5 years. So now, commercial break is now over. We are bringing it back to
we have we got one more sponsor.
I didn't get there yet. I'm about to talk about our Game of the Award picks.
No. We
Oh my
have
God.
no.
Oh,
We got. Have you guys ever just felt like you're just in a bathtub and it's just filled with liquid that just energizes you? Well,
God.
that's because you're sitting in a hot tub full of gamer juice. This episode is sponsored by Gamer Juice, TM trademark pending, patent pending, and everything else pending because it doesn't exist.
Oh my
It's a
God.
real monster of a drink, right?
Oh
Like
my
it gives
fucking
you
God.
wings. Red Bull. It's basically Red Bull.
Don't say that.
But better.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
There may or may
Gamer
not be
juice.
cocaine in it.
Don't give away the secret special ingredient. That's how we get them back.
I
you
just
know?
want our viewers to know that Brennan titled this document that we're reading off of the Motley for 2021, then changed it to sponsored by sponsored by Gamer Juice.
Just
Yeah.
all you gotta do is give them one taste, and they'll keep coming back.
Okay. Welcome back to the pre-review crew Game Awards. Now it is the end of our episode. We are now going to talk about our Game of the Year award picks. So we are going to throw it over to Mike just because my pick and Brennan's pick are the exact same game. Mike picked Tales of Arise. It came out on September 10th. It has an 88 top critic average with 99% of critics recommending, and on our list, that is the highest percent of critics recommending and the top critic average.
Yeah, this game just blew me away. I've played a few of the Tales games in the past, and I always thought they were good. They weren't like, I wasn't running around raving about them. But I thought they were pretty decent. And Arise just took everything Tales has done before, introduced some newness, and just brought it home. Excuse me, allergies. The story's great. I love the characters. The combat just feels, so smooth, like the smoothest I've ever seen a Tales game feel. And, I've played a few games this year, but I really do feel Arise is the best out of them. If you're looking for just something deep, you're looking for something, that you can just really dive into, and it's going to give you, has a lot to give. Tales of Arise was that for me this year. I got it, I didn't get it when it first came out, but when I did pick it up, I was like, yeah, I should have gotten this when it first came out because this game is just amazing.
Honestly, if the game that Haley and I chose for whatever reason didn't release this year, I totally would have picked Tales of Arise as well. It's my runner-up. It was so charming. If I could just boil it down to one word, it's just charming. The characters felt so human. While they were sometimes, very typical anime JRPG characters, they also at the same time displayed a lot of what I felt like was emotional maturity
Yeah.
in how they handled certain topics, and just I feel like the characters were often asking each other like, how do you feel? How do you feel about this? Are you okay? Like, that seemed like it was really hard for you. And it was just nice to listen to, honestly. It felt like an actual group of friends, and they all had connections and dynamics that I felt were so fun to experience. Again, whether that's both in the dialogue and also in the gameplay, because there were the combo moves that you could pull off with two characters, and those were just so much fun to watch. But then also at the same time, you'd see those two same characters hitting it off in one of the manga comic based panels of just them just shooting the shit about random stuff. And some of them were genuinely funny, like genuinely really funny. Others were really heartfelt. It was so good I couldn't finish it. It was so good I was like, I don't want this to end, and I stopped right at the very end, and I hate myself for that. And again, like I should have been more excited for Diablo 2. But I remember the night that Diablo 2 came out, I was like, I'm just gonna play Tales of Arise instead, which is not something that I would have expected, chef's kiss. They nailed it.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, Resident Evil Village was almost my game of the year, but Tales of Arise just so good. If you really want something, if you're the type that likes a story with, deep gameplay, I really do recommend this game. Like I said, it was better than I thought it was gonna be, honestly. And I'm happy for that because, I had kept my eye on this game for 2 or 3 years, as they developed it, and I'm really happy that it did come out better than I was expecting.
Completely 100% agreed. Alphen and Shion, best couple 2021, hands down. They're the man who literally cannot feel pain is paired up with a woman who hurts everyone that touches her. That
Yeah.
is so poetically beautiful. It physically hurts my body. I love it. It's wonderful.
I have nothing to say about Tales of Arise because I have never played it.
Wrong with you.
A lot, apparently. But we are now going to kick it over to the Game of the Year award picks for me and Brennan. That would have to be Returnal, the PS exclusive.
Yeah, so man. Okay, so Returnal, and I don't know if these scores are what they were initially, like when the game first came out in April. And it doesn't have the highest top critic average. It doesn't have the highest number of critics recommending it. The scores are respectable, but I cannot explain the feeling behind Returnal. I don't really know how to I really don't know how to explain it because the game is just that mind-bendingly weird. It is not only very satisfying gameplay wise, it takes a third-person shooter and mashes it up with a roguelike in a way that was just a lot of fun. It was very, very challenging. Very challenging. I don't really like to say this lightly, but it very much reminded me of the same feeling that I would get playing Dark Souls, fighting a boss, throwing myself at a level or a boss what felt like hundreds of times to get enough power-ups in one run to finally defeat said boss. It was just such a euphoric feeling that it's amazing. Like I couldn't finish the game in this time frame because it's for me it's that difficult. But I don't know, man. All I can think about is just that last level that I played and that last boss, and it was just some of the coolest shit I've ever seen. And it was so difficult. And I was streaming it to my friends, and like they were almost as hyped as I was when I beat it. Like it was just such a cool experience overall. Not to mention the story in and of itself is just bonkers weird. I again haven't finished it, don't know where it goes, but oh boy, I can't talk about it because I don't really know what's going on because neither does the main character for that matter, and B, like it's just weird, right? Like it's just straight up strange. There's reoccurring motifs that you just wonder what the hell's going on. There's a 20th century house that'll just appear in the first level, and occasionally you're allowed in, and occasionally you're not. And every time you do go in, things are just straight up bonkers weird. Like, this is a slight spoiler, possibly, but there's a section where you return to the house, and the screen literally pans away from itself, and you're looking through the eyes of a child, looking at a PlayStation 5 controller, and your character Celine is on the child's TV screen, and you walk away as the child. And I just had no idea what the hell was going on. It was the trippiest thing. And I was completely sober, and I was like, man, I feel like I feel like someone put mushrooms in my coffee this morning. Like, what is going on? Sublime. My house marquee, I'm so glad that Sony bought them because I cannot wait to see what House Marquee does next. It is just mind blowing. Again, it's not the perfect game, but for me personally, it was the game that made me feel the most feels. Whether it was satisfaction, just with general gameplay feel, euphoric, insurmountable, odd defying joy, and then mixed with complete and utter confusion, and not in the random sense, but just absurd. You know, just again, if I can boil it down to one word, it is absurd in the purest form. You legitimately have no idea what's happening, but it's all seemingly logic based in a way. And I imagine that if you were to complete it to the end, it would all sort of click and make sense. It's probably a lot of stuff that would still be as absurd, but I could gush about this game forever. And then don't even get me started on the update. They released an update. I don't know when, September, October, where they literally took the one complaint that people had that you couldn't save in the middle of a run, and they just let you save in the middle of a run. And that was the only complaint. That was the biggest complaint that people had. Not the only complaint. The biggest complaint that people had was that you couldn't save in the middle of a run. And they just threw it in. They were like, "Here you go, for free as a patch, whatever." And immediately I picked it up because I was like, "Why not?" They fixed the one thing that everyone was complaining about, and it's all the better for it. I really don't think it takes away from the experience at all. Those runs are really long. If you're doing very well, easy 3-4 hours you can be in one run, which is absurd to me. That's not how most roguelike games go. But man, it can keep your attention that whole time in so many more ways than just one. Chef's Kiss. Sorry, I'm gonna stop because I can go on. Also, my Game of the Year award was sponsored by Gamer Juice TM, patent pending. I have to make that very clear.
We're not sponsored.
Not yet.
We're not
American dream.
sponsored at all.
Thank you, Gamer Juice.
I'm so done.
I'm gonna look up if Gamer Juice is a real thing. Hold on. Gamer Juice is a fictional energy drink from American children comedy Dog with a Blog.
Well, you heard it here first. Anyway, I thought Returnal was new and interesting. It was the only major exclusive that Sony dropped this year. So already I feel like that gave it a lot of hype. We also didn't know a lot about it going into it. Like the PS5 released a couple months previous to this, and you didn't really have any exclusive games to play, and then all of a sudden this comes out. So that generated a decent amount of hype for the game if you had a PS5 to play it on. And then also with the whole you can't save in the middle of the run, I feel like that also was like, like this is new. Let's see how it goes. And I watched the Rad Brad play it, and I remember him talking about how he had to leave his PS5 on, or I think put it into like rest mode, just so that he could go eat or go get some sleep, and then he'd come back to it. Like, he couldn't turn his console off at all. And I thought that was a little extreme, I definitely have to say. But at the same exact time, it's that generated hype and word for the game. Like, who else has done something like that? At least right now. No one. They went balls to the wall. They were like, let's do this thing. And obviously, like, they added it to the game later on. So it's not like that was something that they couldn't add. The game was going to be like that forever. And I'm happy that they listened to the consumers. But at the same exact time, like, I don't want to call everyone a little girl, but like, are y'all just some little girls?
Probably.
Like, do you need the game to hold your hand? Again, you can't save in the middle of the run. That sucks. At least give me like one save point, like halfway through the level. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought the story was pretty decent. I was a little bit confused about it, but I did read up on some explaining videos that explained everything to me. It was gorgeous. I thought it was absolutely beautiful for the PS5. So it was a very interesting game. I don't think we're going to get another one like it. I don't think we need another one like it. Yeah. I think it's just kind of like a one-off. I hope they make something different. But it's a good game. So that's why it's my Game of the Year pick. Not sponsored by Gamer Juice.
Well, you're not the owner slash creator of Gamer Juice, so of course yours isn't. But back to the slightly less important topic at hand. uh, Returnal's beautiful. I do give people some credence to their complaints of the whole not saving thing. Like, the game is very difficult. And if you're putting like 3, 4 hours into a run and you're like, maybe I want to play some Demon Souls, and you straight up can't because your run that your sweaty hands have been holding this controller for 4 stressful hours, like you can't put that down to play something slightly less and or more stressful with the Demon Souls example.
But
Um,
maybe, like, I would argue that that's what they're going for. Because that forces you to either give up and lose your run or continue to sit there and play their game. Which, I mean, you already bought it, so they already got your money, but still.
they only got my money because of the update. If they had not updated it, I don't know if I actually would have purchased it. Because again, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't really think them adding that update takes away from the experience at all. I really only think it enhances it. I don't think it's one of those like, should Dark Souls have an easy mode discussion? It's, should Returnal have yes. Yes. I don't think the arguments are comparable at all. Like, it just kind of should, because I don't think not saving adds the only tension that adds is just like aggravation. I don't know. I don't find that tense. I just find that really annoying. But again, I haven't experienced that, so I don't know because I bought it after the update. It also, like you said, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Both the models of everything, the sound design. Oh my goodness, fantastic. Atropos is just a fantastic setting overall. It literally has a mind of its own. Fantastic, and the adaptive haptic feedback for the controller, I thought it was very well done. It felt really cool, and again, that's not really something that you can explain to people without having experienced it, because that's the whole haptic feedback thing. But the way that the trigger resistance on, I believe it was the left trigger, you could either zoom in if you did it a little bit, then if you held it even longer or harder, it switched to your alt fire mode, and that's not something I've ever done in a game before. It was really cool to train myself to figure out, how trigger resistance like that actually makes a difference, as opposed to it just being a sort of feeling thing. Like, it has actual gameplay influence. It's not like Spider-Man where you can feel the tension of the swing as you're swinging around the city. It was an alt fire mode. I don't know. It's just cool, man. I can go on, but I won't. I'm sorry.
Well, guys, that was our game of the year wrap up. So sad to see 2021 leaving us with all these fantastic games. I'm going to quickly run down the list of games that we talked about, and then we are going to toss it over to our predictions for 2022. But this year we talked about Hitman 3, The Medium, Persona 5 Strikers, Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town, Monster Hunter Rise, New Pokemon Snap, Returnal, Resident Evil Village, The Wild at Heart, Monster Harvest, that one caught me up. Starmancer, which was in early access. 12-minute No More Heroes 3, Tales of Arise, Lost in Random, Diablo 2 Resurrected, Alan Wake Remastered, Far Cry 6, House of Ashes, Shinigami Tensei 5, Lens Island, also early access, Beyond a Steel Sky, and Halo Infinite. I say give it up to everyone who was able to put out a game this year, who still, through working through COVID, managed to release something that they are very proud of. So thank you to all the producers, developers, and everybody working within the video game industry this year. You are so gratefully loved by the crew here at the pre-review crew. So big shout out to everyone. And that's where we insert some clapping.
Yay.
Great. So now with that over, we are going to quickly kick it over to our ending segment of our predictions for 2022. And because I know he wants to talk more about Gamer Juice, we're going to kick it over to Brennan first.
Guys, I have a sad announcement. gamer juice isn't real. I made that all up. That was it's just something that I really wanted to be a real thing, you know? It's just like I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into creating gamer juice, and it's just never gonna be a real thing. You know, it's just it's really sad. It's really sad. As the co-creator slash developer slash executive producer of Gamer Juice TM patent pending, I just don't believe in our core values anymore. I think that the company has really just taken a nosedive after these recent stock rug pulls. You know, I can't. It's just a shame that we have to liquidate our entire company within a day's notice and lay off all of our workers. It's really emotional for me right now. I don't want to talk about Gamer Juice ever again. I'm sorry.
Well,
That
there goes
sad
my sponsor.
No, that sad story sponsor was sponsored by Gamer Juice. Have you ever just been fucking pissed off at the gamer industry? Well,
Because they
Gamer
laid you off
Juice
right
is for
before
you.
Christmas?
Yeah. Wow. We're giving out free gamer. You get Gamer Juice. You get Gamer Juice. You get orange flavored Gamer Juice. That's our new flavor that we're coming out in 2024. Good luck getting your hands on that because it's gonna taste awful.
Limited
And you know
release.
right now. Yeah, the exact yeah, 2 weeks only in a city in Ontario by you.
In
Gamer Juice
2024.
2024 coming to a local movie theater kind of far away
Okay.
from here, but
So
worth it.
besides your gamer juice predictions, what are your video game predictions for 2022?
Oh god. Um Man, I really don't know, right? Like, I hope Hideo comes out with something cool. I mean, I know we talked about that before, so that's maybe a bit of a cop-out answer, but I don't know. I still think about Death Stranding, man. I really do, and hopefully, I really want Blue Point, the people that remastered both Shadow of the Colossus and Demon Souls. I really hope. And I know that we just kind of shit on the whole remaster talk, so this is sounding very hypocritical of me. But I hope that Bluepoint, now that they're acquired by Sony, pulls some just crazy remake out of their ass. That would be amazing. I want it. I really want it to be a Metal Gear Solid like trilogy remake, remaster, what have you. I know that that won't happen because Konami sucks and that's a lot of work, you know. But but that would just be so cool, man. I really want. I obviously like the Hideo thing is kind of unrelated to the potential Blue Point Konami remake thing, but I don't know. I just want more Hideo Kojima stuff in my life, whether he's on the project or not. I just want more. But also really quick, a game that I'm looking forward to in 2022 is Forspoken. I really am looking forward to that. Just based off of gameplay trailers, story trailers. I do really like the direction that they're going in overall. I think the protagonist is interesting. You know, she's not very common to have a black female protagonist, so that's always nice to see. And it's not nice to see just because of what she is, but I don't know. I feel like during the initial story trailer, she was portrayed as this sort of modern, relatable person, just kind of thrown into fantastical world. I'm always into isekais and all that. So just very excited for that. The magic system looks really dope. Traversal looks a lot of fun. I just hope that it's well written, and I hope that character story arcs are also well written. So those are my very lame predictions, and also something that I'm looking forward to.
Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I think for those who do not know, I am a huge fighting game fan, and I think we're gonna be those that are fans of the genre are gonna be pretty happy next year. Blaze Blue, Central Fiction, and Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle are both getting rollback netcode, which is gonna be awesome. I hope it leads to new content for those games, and I'm glad because the servers really weren't very populated at the moment, and this has really just like brought those games back into prominence. Um, you got King of Fighters 15 is coming out, which I'm really excited for. Next episode, I will probably talk about that game because it looks fucking amazing. Um, Persona 4 Ultimax is getting a re-release, which I'm looking forward to because I cannot find my copy for my PS4. I'm gonna get it on PC. And then Guilty Gear Strive is still gonna be getting more characters. So if you like fighters, next year we're gonna be getting a lot of good stuff.
Hell yeah.
Definitely agree. Looking at a list coming up, it's not a full list of games, but the beginning of the year is definitely stacked with a lot of really good games coming out. You have God of War coming out on PC, Pokemon Legends, Uncharted Collection, Rainbow Six. February is also wrapping up to be really good. You have Life is Strange Remastered, Dying Light 2 Stay Human, Dynasty Warriors 9, Horizon Forbidden West, Destiny 2 The Witch King, a horror game called Martha is Dead, Elden Ring. I mean, that's within the first 2 months of next year. March is followed by Tiny Tina's Wonderland, Pathfinder, Gran Turismo, Spellforce, Persona 4, Arena, Ultimax. Like, it seems like next year is definitely going to be a year that we're going to see all those games that got delayed because of COVID rolling out. It's going to be huge. I'm excited to see where it goes. Like, Ghostwire Tokyo is to be announced. You have a new Saints Row game that's coming out. Bayonetta 3 on the Switch. God of War Ragnarok. Like, it's going to be insane. And I don't know if we're actually ready for it or not, but I am very much ready to play some new games. Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, that was a pretty cool game when it came out on the Switch. So there's so many things to play next year, and I am 100% ready for them. This list is absolutely never ending of things to play. So next year will be Redfall. Did anybody mention Redfall? That's like the vampire hunter game.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, the co-op vampire killer game from Arcane and Bethesda. Like, there's just so many games. I'm gonna be broke. I will be broke. That's the end of it. My prediction for 2022 is Haley will actually play more than just Assassin's Creed. I'll also be playing God of War. But for once, I think I will actually be playing majority of the games we talk about. I
don't know how I forgot to bring up Elden Ring. Yeah, needless to say, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, like, it's going to be insane next year. So get ready to be broke with us as we play some of the games coming out next year. We'll definitely talk about them. 2022 is going to be the year for sequels, for new IPs, for indie games, for everybody. And you can come back here starting in January and listen to us talk about all the new games that are releasing. Well, you heard it here. This is the end of the episode for our end of the year wrap up. This is the pre-review crew Game Awards. We are signing off until next time. I hope you have a good day, night, evening, wherever you are in the world, and we will see you in the future. Goodbye.